The following paid program is furnished by The Coalition. It's for basic entertainment and informational purposes only and is solely responsible for its content. It does not necessarily reflect the views of Cumulus Media, its management, or its staff. News Talk 630 and 99.7 FM WPRO presents The Coalition with hosts Pat Ford and Dane Fisher. Join them now for their signature brand of smash mouth, no holds barred, no topic too controversial political talk. Join their nuanced discussions of local, state, and national politics and opinions that lie well outside the political mainstream. Now, here's Pat Ford and Dane Fisher.
And yes, we are the Coalition, loud and proud, outrage porn-free, civilly disobedient racist. On the Facebook.com, that's the Coalition Radio. On the mighty Twitter at Coalition_radio. Our website, coalitionradio.us. We blog, we post, we stream. And starting soon, our own internet streaming radio station at coalitionradio.org. We're going to get right into things today. We're going to do a little flip-flop on our schedule and get right to the heart of the issue. Dave Fisher, of course, here as my co-host. Welcome back, Dave.
Thanks, Pat.
All right. Crazy week again in La Prave. One of the most compelling issues facing our new General Assembly, if you will, this time around with our Governor, Gina Raimondo, of course, is her budget. And implicit in her budget is, shall we say, a shuffling of the deck or an attempted shuffling of the deck.
Rearranging of the deck chairs, if you will.
Our new theme song music, nerd I got to make. But in doing so, she's attempted to do everything from the Taylor Swift tax on down. And as a result, joining us today is a very special guest. We've got Myrna George, who's the Chief Executive Officer, as we like to say, the head honcho of the South County Tourism Council. Myrna, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
You know it's a Rhode Island organization when they call it South County and not the actual Washington County. Very Rhode Island of you.
Well, a little background on Ms. George, of course, graduate of Tulane University MBA program, a former state representative of District 31, including Coventry, East Greenwich, Exeter, and West Greenwich, wherever they are. Served on a number of committees, including House Finance, Educational Accountability, Oversight, so she is intimate with the halls of power, or as we say, in the halls of power, power are in the halls. Strong background in education, vice chairman of the West Exeter Regional School District, and then, of course, became head of the South County Tourism Bureau. We invited her in this week because, number one, we want to celebrate South County. Longtime listeners of the show know that we've spent a lot of time with the folks in Newport, particularly during the controversy surrounding the implementation of gaming and casino. And what we sought to do at that point in time was point out all the wonders of Newport, that as a region, Newport was really one of the gems of Rhode Island and one of the gems of New England. For real Rhode Islanders, of which after 25 years I'm almost starting to become one, okay? South County,
you're still a carpetbagger.
South County is that special place, in the sense of it's that special place that belongs to Rhode Island. Newport has always been geographically wonderfully situated in the sense that out-of-state New Yorkers could come up 95, get off at Exit 3, go over the bridge. We could kind of sequester them over there, kind of quarantine them. They could spend vast amounts of money and then hopefully leave. South County is different. South County is really, I believe, the soul of Rhode Island. If Providence is the temple of sin, South County is where Rhode Island finds its soul. Whether it be the University of Rhode Island, Wakefield, Wickford, on down to Charleston, all the way on down to Westerly, there's a uniqueness there and sort of a natural protection. That's where we go during the summer. We're very want to try and keep it secret from the other people. It's our sin secret. It's our turf. It's where that's South County is what got a lot of us through this winter, quite frankly.
Just thinking about going to South County when the weather got nice.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite, of course, is the Ocean Mist in Matunic, the Matunic Oyster Bar. I mean, just we went there as soon as it got almost not even warm, but almost. We were on the beach in March. That's how desperate we were to get out of mainland, homeland Rhode Island. South County Tourism Council. Ms. Raimondo, and we're going to get into a lot of detail over this, has decided to attempt to shuffle the deck, if you will, to reconstitute how we do business in Rhode Island in attracting hospitality and tourism. What we want to do is the purpose of every show is to educate people on origins, functions, reality, get past urban legends, destroy urban myths, and really get to the heart of how things really work in the state. And I thought no better opportunity than really the first day of summer, if you will, for most of us in Rhode Island, than to talk about that. So, again, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much.
I think we have to change our term to rural myths if we're talking South County, right?
Yeah, okay. there is the mean streets of North Kingstown, all right? But Myrna, give us a little bit of background. First of all, the origins of the Tourism Council and sort of the legal framework under which it operates.
Okay. Well, I was going to define exactly where South County is for those people who may not be totally familiar. If we go back to the King's grants, we will see that the King had mapped out the state and had Aquidneck Island and the Providence Plantations, which was north and south, if you will. It is the land mass where things were grown. And the King divided the state in half between the north and the south, and that is why Division Road in East Greenwich is so named. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, and everybody can go look it up if they want to.
But one of the best things about the show is we always learn some factoid in every episode.
Well,
that's a good one.
You have to realize that at one time, Narragansett and the environs of the coastline, which now encompasses 20 public beaches, some of our finest beaches this side of Massachusetts, are really home to most of the rural community, the natural environment. It's not a built environment. It's not a walkable city. The city by the sea is a walkable city. Providence is a walkable city. If you're coming to South County, you're coming for a different experience, a more natural environment where you have shoreline and inland waterways and most of your management areas that spill down to 100 miles of the best coastline. So we have a lot to offer those people who are fairly well educated, and we know this by research. They're fairly well educated. They come here with their families, and they spend about a week's time in the region, and so they spend a good deal. Their spending is quite deep. They're not like a day tripper. They come in and they're
not just stopping for gas in a candy bar.
And if I could quote the Ocean House president, Dan Hostetler, who gave testimony before the House Finance Committee with me and sat in the Finance Committee for about 7 hours to give his testimony. He clearly
House finance is the worst.
Well, again, we give everyone an opportunity to speak. And you must, and that's the process that makes us as great as we are in this grand experiment. But quite frankly, he sat there to give testimony against the governor's proposal because that proposal is not a consolidation. If you read it, it is actually a culling out of two regions and having the budget of the rest of them. So you hold two regions harmless, and everybody else cuts half their budget.
Well, and I mean, this is a pretty typical thing. So, I mean, I've spoken to Bob Billington over at the Blackstone Valley Tourism Council, and it's the same story, where, we've seen this happen. These things get consolidated, and who loses out is those kind of exurb communities.
Well, in terms of South County, it's let me just first tell you that we are the largest geographical tourism region in the state. We represent 11 towns, more than 449 square miles of the state of Rhode Island is the destination South County. Mm-hmm. People come here. We know that people are coming here based on research. 72% of them come here because of the South County Style Travel Guide. We are up on Duratrans at Times Square. We are purchase media, $350,000 worth of purchase media, all of which will be halved if the governor's proposal goes through. Some of which is sort of not in the best interest of good tourism because we are the economic engine in the state. The third, it depends if who's counting. You're either the second or the third economic engine in the state. And let's clearly identify the fact that we work on not on taxes from citizens in Rhode Island, but rather from people who are coming here to visit the state. And they pay into the hotel tax. To go back to your question, Pat, how did this begin? Tourism was set up in 1986 We were formalized in statute. That was done in large measure for the hoteliers in the state of Rhode Island. We operate for the putting people overnight in hotels, and in doing so, we have a integrated marketing campaign that makes sure that happens. If, in fact, this goes through, it will be the only five-star hotel in the state of Rhode Island that will have their representative integrated marketing campaign cut in half.
Well, now, it seems like that the support, and I'll call it, and I'm using air quotes here on the radio, for this is actually based, it would appear, again, on urban legends, urban myths, general conceptions, misconceptions, and buzzwords. We've heard the governor talk about, in an article discussing the governor's conversation, talk about the ability to Google certain things, and if it didn't come right up on Google, we can't possibly be doing a good enough job. We've heard a member of the staff on this station talk about his anecdotal questions in the streets of New York as to South County, and that, I guess, is something that, to base opposition to it. How does one defend trying to consolidate the budgets of different agencies responsible for marketing tourism for four vastly different styles, approaches, geography, economics, whatever? I mean, when it comes to tourism, we might as well be four different states, shouldn't we?
Well, you have four different visitors, or five or six different visitors that are coming into the state. Marketing, as we all know, has become very sophisticated. It is not one size fits all, and we certainly aren't going to have trickle-down economics, even in tourism. Would it be a great idea? Do we agree that we would like to have a strong state division of tourism that can do a unified marketing campaign? Absolutely. No one would fight with that. We have advocated for that for years with what is now the Rhode Island Commerce Commission, that at one time was Economic Development Commission. They have chosen over the past 10 years to erode the State Division of Tourism's budget to the point where it is minimal. We, the regions, have come in and supplemented those budgets. Had it not been for the regions, the Condor airline coming into the airport would not have seen the marketing campaign that we, Providence, Newport, South County, put money on the table to make sure that marketing happened because the State Division was not able to do so. So, I mean, when you consider the collaboration that has occurred without anyone telling us to do it, because we're all dedicated professionals to making sure that it happens, we would certainly have loved the opportunity to sit down with the governor and discuss how we could do this in a reasonable fashion that did not fund consultants or create more expense than needs to be expended. We could have supported that in a meaningful way. As it is, I do not know how you can put in place a marketing campaign. Those people you're going to need in-house to facilitate that marketing campaign by June or July 1st. That is what the present budget article calls for, that this will be put in place on July 1st. Even if they move it out to January, how are you going to get together a campaign that can legitimately even begin to do a slogan, a campaign of any meaning? Right now, we had the last governor that came in said, I think this should be beautiful Rhode Island. It was not done by a survey, by a branding expedition. It was done because the governor wanted it. And now we're going to do another governor's want.
Right.
I always find it really disingenuous that so much lip service is given to the hospitality industry, to tourism in the state of Rhode Island. Newport, America's first resort. Like we were where people started to go on vacation. And the lack of support that we see for tourism in this state, and one of my pet peeves is litter. Can we do something about picking up the litter and making the place look okay? I mean, you want to be attractive to people. You don't want a bunch of stuff out there. But it just seems over and over that we hear, tourism and small business is the lifeblood of our economy, but it falls on deaf ears.
Well, maybe tourism's lifeblood of our economy because there have been professionals doing it for the past decade and growing it into the industry it is, and now it's become the candy store. Let's take some money from the
Right.
tourism folks. And let's not forget, if you read the statute and the budget article, it creates 5 new agencies within Rhode Island Commerce on tourism dollars that have